Max Mulhern je američki umjetnik koji od 1985. godine živi u Parizu. Prije 2 godine je započeo projekat izrade i puštanja kolosalnih kocki koje bi plutale površinom mora. Kako bi pomogao realizaciju svoje ideje, započeo je akciju skupljanja donacija preko francuske verzije Kickstartera i ubrzo premašio je svoj cilj od 5.000 eura.
And surpassed his goal of 5,000 euros.
Today, I'm asking you to help Aquadice make its big splash.
The first kernels were when I started designing boats, but as sculptures. And I was drawing these boats that would float, but that would be almost impossible to navigate. They might have 2 bows that are going in 2 different directions, or they might have, there's one boat I did, it had 1,000 masts. I called those contradictory craft. If I were to talk about my body of work, I would say that I've been building a boat. My dad grew up very poor in West Philadelphia. He was an orphan, had never been near the water, and all of a sudden he's like, well, I'm going to buy a boat. He was a sculptor and a painter, and he bought a boat. He didn't buy the plastic boat that was just going to float and we could have fun on. He bought an old wreck, an old wooden wreck. So that's probably what is the DNA of the art I do, which is it's going to be wooden, it's going to be floating, but sinking at the same time, and you're going to have to be fixing it the whole time to keep it floating. This is one of the, probably the first one I did when I started thinking that I was actually going to do something with the dice. And that's when I was thinking, wow, the die as potential landscape, the die, the spots as celestial bodies, and dice on water. That's when it first started hitting me that, wow, what I'm actually putting forward here is this notion of putting some dice on water, so water dice. I chose the Canary Islands for launching dice for a few reasons. The main one being that it was the easiest place to drop them straight into the trade winds and into the Canary Current, because they're the motors to the dice. It's the best place to give them an unimpeded launch. When we launch the dice, we're going to be launching them on the path that Christopher Columbus took when he sailed over to the New World, as well as the slaves. It was called the Middle Passage. And for me, Columbus's ships were nothing more than big dice. I mean, Columbus was a roll of the dice. The aqua dice, they're painted a bright fluorescent orange with blue spots. These are the colors of life-saving equipment on the high sea. So when a boat turns upside down or when there's a big storm, these colors are deployed so the boat can be found.
I'm sitting here between the dice and I can feel the wind at my back. It's now finally turned around to the right direction, so I think we can launch in about 5 or 10 minutes.
For me, these are they're 2 things at the same time. It's like a warning. Look at the financial crisis here in Europe. This is a warning. Don't speculate. Don't bet with your money. I mean, you have to get away from that because it brings down societies. At the same time, it's sort of like, well, there's hope here. The message is, well, maybe we'll make it if we just keep gambling. Someone once said to me, I'd rather be lucky than anything else in this whole wide world. And it's true. You don't need, if you're lucky, you don't need money, you don't need looks, you don't need intelligence, although you probably have all those things because you're lucky. But if you have those, if you have luck, then everything else is fine. I'm not rolling the dice here with aqua dice. What's happening is I'm placing them in nature's hands, as it were, and it's the waves and the winds and the currents that are going to do the pushing and the rolling and the deciding. For me, I'm kind of happy with any outcome. Total disparition. They go to America and perhaps they open new doors of chance and a new sort of Christopher Columbus crossing, but we'll look for a different outcome. Maybe they'll go back to Africa. Maybe they'll drift back over to Senegal, and that'll be pretty funny. I mean, in any case, imagine someone on the beach going fishing for the day or going for a stroll and they see 2 dice or a die showing up on the waves. That's going to be an extraordinary... I wish I could be that person and be totally surprised.
Za manje od mjesec dana nakon njihovog puštanja, kocke su putovale 1100 milja zapadno od Kanarskih ostrva i međusobno se udaljile 60 milja. Trenutno se nalaze u Sjevernoatlantskom okeanu plutajući ka Karibima.
For most of his career, the filmmaker David O. Russell has been known for his high-minded, acerbic comedies like Three Kings and I Heart Huckabees. In 2010, he came out with The Fighter, and his whole path changed. He was nominated for an Oscar as Best Director, his cast won Oscars, and he got a different kind of Hollywood clout.
It was a real fortuitous thing that The Fighter came to me, and I was very grateful to work with Mark Wahlberg 3 times, and I was very grateful that he came back to me with that third project. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have looked at it. I would have said, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's a bunch of, I don't get it. A fighter, I don't get it. And it's been a great gift to me to be able to make stories about, to know, oh, these are the kinds of movies I want to make, and that I think I can put my heart into.
It allowed him to make a movie that was close to his heart, Silver Linings Playbook, which is getting Oscar buzz this season.
If you stay positive, you have a shot at a silver lining.
Let's talk about the theme for a little bit of Silver Linings. You know, to me, that book came to me with that name. That's like advertising a theme on a cover, which is a very risky thing to do.
We're here in the South Bronx and another place close to his heart, the Ghetto Film School, a nonprofit he works with, to see him lead a workshop for students and talk about his own filmmaking process.
Sidney Pollack said, would you be interested in possibly adapting a book? And I thought I would make it before The Fighter.
It was a moment of necessity you needed to write. Tell me about why. Why was that?
Necessity breeds invention, you know, so it's a good thing when you are broke and you need to work for a living. So, I mean, you know, it's real life. And I think that's good, though. That's a silver lining for me, because before that I think I had my head in the clouds a little too much with Huckabees, and it was too speculative and metaphysical, and it was very good to get to real, and nothing will make it be more real than money.
What the?
It was a very personal story to me that I'd been looking for, to tell a story that would make my son feel like he's part of the world.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning, Pat.
He's grappled with emotional, you know, with mood disorders that have been very significant and been the greatest challenge I ever dealt with in my life. And you think you can handle it and manage it, and it's very frightening when you see that you can't. You know, it's also what will tear your heart out more than your own child telling you that they don't know that they like life, you know, that they want to live, you know. So that's a strong motivation to want to tell a story that would make them see it a different way.
Come on, Dad! What are you so up about?
Well, you connected to the movie as a parent and as a filmmaker. You shot this movie on location around Philadelphia, and you got to really know the neighborhoods and the food. Why is that important to you?
That's as enchanting to me as the story, is the world. The way they live, the way they eat, how they cook. The fact that we had Italian food cooking in the house that smelled like my mother's house and Bradley's mother's house was everything. Have you ever had a Brajol sandwich?
No.
You should.
I know, I'm missing out.
You take this flat steak and you pound it, and you put Parmesan and garlic and parsley inside of it. You roll it up, you saute it in olive oil.
There's been recipes with David O. Russell.
And you put a toothpick in it.
So is this the girl you wrote about?
Yeah.
What? You wrote about me?
A lot of it for you happens on the set, working with your actors.
It's wonderful to the process, actually. The thing on the set is just to keep it a rhythm that they're in it and they're sweating and it's real.
No, please, tell me more about what he said in the letter.
So that they're willing to walk through fire or do anything for it, as I am. And then try it several different ways. To get the tone right is not easy. You must give yourself choices for the edit room.
Yeah, later we'll do a totally comedic version of this video.